everyone, and welcome to this YouTube channel. My name is Penny, and this is Penny's Coding Bits. In this video, we are going to go through how to identify text data related to the stock market in order to identify the sentiment for a stock's future. So, in this case, we are identifying sentiment scores for each line of a news feed for the Apple stock. And we are pulling this information from the Alpha Vantage API located at alphavantage.co. And this is a combination of two of my previous blogs. One was the Magic Investment Mix app that I had written in March of this year. And this app was to pull the stock price data from Alpha Vantage API. And this Android app was designed so that a user can identify the optimum mix of investments based on their risk tolerance, which they can toggle here. And the optimum investment mix would be moving along this efficient frontier here. And another one was the emotion detection in text blog that I had written in July of last year. And this was simply identifying the sentiment score for this sample text here. So in this video, we are combining these two so that we are pulling the news feed from Alpha Vantage API and identify the sentiment for the news feed of a particular stock. So if you go to this Google Collab workbook, which I had linked down below in the description box, there are 3 packages to accomplish this task. The first one is the requests package, which pulls in information from the API into the workbook, and you can see that down here. This is the entirety of this news feed, and we need the pandas package to manipulate the news feeds that are converted into data frames further down below, and we will need the text blob, which we have used in the emotion detection in text blog to calculate the sentiment score. So first of all, we need to identify the API key. Without the API key, we cannot pull in the newsfeed for analysis. And so that's identified first. And we need to tell the workbook which function within this API location we are particularly interested in. And we also need to tell the workbook which ticker symbol we are looking at. And in this case, it's Apple that we are interested in. And we need to place these 3 pieces of information into this URL. And this will give the API an idea of the exact information that we are looking to pull. And once we are identifying this information, we need to put in a request to get the information from this URL location and convert it to the JSON format. And once we have this being pointed to a data object, we can use this data object to pull the news feed, in particular within the news sentiment function. And we also need to create a data frame from this news article that is now linked to the news feed. And we are now particularly interested in the title and the summary of this news feed, and you can see that down below. So this is the summary, and we have the title. So those are being pointed to 2 separate columns in this DF data frame. And before we proceed, we need to write a definition of the get sentiment function so that we could call it later on to calculate the sentiment score for the summary of the newsfeed. And last but not least, show the title, the summary, and the sentiment scores for each line of this newsfeed. And there you have it. And something that I had put into the blog that is associated with this video is that sentiment scores are subject to human bias. So they learn what we learn, and it's not completely intentional that way, but we may feed information to the system that will subject the system to our biases. So there are cases out there that's associating females with arts and males with science, and African American restaurants and Mexican restaurants to the word illegal. So we need to be very careful with these kind of text analysis, in that we are subconsciously feeding bias into the system, and we need to be aware when we are taking this sentiment score in the end, because they may not be 100% accurate and impartial in that case as we would like them to be. So that is all for this video. I'll see you in the next one.